There we go. I should turn that down just a tad. Alright. You see a black screen. But then, as we open the show, now you see me. Hello everybody, this is Anthony Beyond from Mission Start Podcast. And we have a new, I don't know if I say new, but another episode of MissionStartPodcast.com. So, joining me today, as you can see in the icon next to me, or that way, is Greg Dietz.
Hello.
And today we got a bunch of topics to talk about from the past week. It's been a pretty busy week in the gaming news. So let's not delay and get to it. Alright, so to begin things off, let me bring up my trusty old website thingy. So where to begin? Alright, let's do with this.
His trusty old website.
Yes. So recently, there's been rumors regarding Halo 5. Is it coming to PC? Is it going to be?
No, it's not. But that's, I mean, continue.
So there were rumors. People were saying, you know, it might be because of the inclination of Microsoft putting out PC games as of late. You know, a la like Killer Instinct as an example, to properly, you know, represent Microsoft 10 with the new OS. And Halo has been on PC before.
Yeah,
but
Halo 1 and 2.
But there was a clarification made by one of the guys who were working on Halo 5, and basically said on Twitter, "This is not true. Games being made exclusively for Xbox One," which broke a lot of hearts, especially mine's. And at the moment, it is not coming to. It's not coming to PC. So, but you know, never say never. I'll say that.
Well, there's a couple factors you have to put into play. I see the logic behind why people thought it might have been, but there's a few factors you have to put in. Microsoft right now is banking on the fact that they can sell Xbox Ones through Halo 5. That's their primary goal right now. The other thing that they have that they can kind of hold on to as best they can are, like, there's another exclusive, but I know that Rise of the Tomb Raider is exclusive for a while. Mm-hmm. And then there's something else, but like we talked about it a few weeks ago on the podcast, that Microsoft is losing like 2-1 in the console market to PlayStation. And they're losing money. The Xbox division is losing money. And there's a better rumor, a more realistic rumor, that Microsoft is going to start, instead of producing Xboxes, if this doesn't fix itself, instead of producing Xboxes, they're going to go the route of like the Valve box, or Valve, whatever the fuck that was called, where they're just producing simple PCs for people.
Interesting.
I think that's a bit of a fallacy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see Microsoft doing that. But, you know, I wouldn't put it past them either. But yeah, as for Halo 5 coming to PC, I don't honestly ever see that happening, unless there's a big enough like draw for it.
Right.
And as of right now, there just isn't. With Halo 2 and 1, like there's a reason that Halo 3 didn't go to PC. And it wasn't because Halo 3 was on a new console. It wasn't because, or for whatever reason, it was simply because they just didn't sell as many copies or enough copies to warrant the extra cost it took to produce the game through PC. I mean, we saw with Arkham Knight that it takes a little bit more effort and resources to get a game going on PC that was designed for something else, and it can even fail miserably. So, unless Halo 6 or a new type of Halo in general is produced for both at the same time, I wouldn't ever expect another Halo on PC.
Okay, so I agree to the fact that it does take development in terms of like converting a console game into a PC, and the worst case scenario of that has been the Batman Arkham Knight PC port, which recently I just saw recently announced that they're actually releasing the game on October 28th. Finally, the finished version, not the glitch.
Right.
So I can meet with you there, and I can agree the fact that Microsoft is losing pretty badly in the console war battle. There was actually a statement made this past week saying that their focus on Microsoft and the things they're trying to get done, games to promote the brand, rather than trying to compare consoles in the console war, which I think is pretty dumb. But the truth of the matter is that Microsoft's losing pretty badly right now.
Well, not to go completely off topic here, but they're losing. They're simply losing because of two factors. They really fucked up, and I say they as in the people that were there before the new guys who are there now. Like I said, you cannot buy an Xbox One without a Kinect. They're completely revamping how the system functions, so that way it's just better for everybody. That it's not like they're like I said, Ed McMillan, who made Super Meat Boy and Binding of Isaac, when he made Super Meat Boy, said, "I'm never going back to work with Microsoft ever."
Mm-hmm.
And then we see Binding of Isaac recently on the Xbox One. So the new people that are there are definitely doing better. They're making things better in general.
That's true.
And there's been so many companies that have gone back on their word of saying, "I'll never work with Microsoft," to I'm either reconsidering it or I'm totally am because their new system is much better.
Mm-hmm.
So what they're doing in place now is working. But it's basically at this point damage control.
It is. It is.
And this is why the console's not selling well. This is why certain people have come out and said, like, congratulations to Sony. We're not in a race. We're not in a war. We're just trying to sell consoles.
Yeah.
And how old is the Xbox One and the PS4? 2 years old now?
Yeah, it's still relatively new.
Really young. Yeah. So I mean, there's plenty of time for things to turn around and change. And for Microsoft to say, or for the Xbox division to say, we're not worried about the console right now, we're concentrating on games, I think is the best idea that they could have. It's as you and I have discussed on the show before, console's only as good as its games.
Agreed.
And
Agreed.
If they can't produce content, I mean, this is again why, like I've said, Nintendo kind of falls to the wayside sometimes in the console war, and it's because they just don't produce enough original content that people want.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I want to see Microsoft do better. I want to see them. I mean, they were killing it with the Xbox 360.
They were. There were tons of support behind the 360. There were tons of third-party support. Much of the multi-platform games, a la Call of Duty, was seen more as an Xbox 360 game rather than a PS3 game, even though it came out for both. Because more people were on there, people had more friends on the console. But yeah, like content is key when it comes to these consoles, and like anything else, by YouTube, website, or whatever. Like content is a key in terms of drawing your audience in, and having where if you look at both consoles right now, and you look at the amount of content in each one, you would say that Microsoft has better content than Sony PS4, just because there isn't enough PS4 exclusives. But at the same time, you kind of see like what Microsoft's kind of going towards with their console versus what Sony has, and it's kind of two different audiences at the same time. So it is to each their own. But Microsoft pretty much came out and said, like, we're focusing on our thing. We lost the the battle with Sony, but not the war. So we're they're kind of taking the long route.
I mean, they still sold both have if you take half of the sales of the PS4, which is what Microsoft has, that's still a fuck ton of consoles.
Agreed.
Like they're just not beating Microsoft. They're not hemorrhaging money like Nintendo was.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, they're not in dire straits. The Xbox isn't going anywhere. And realistically, that thing I was talking about earlier of like them going the route of the Steam box or whatever the fuck it's called.
Yeah.
Probably won't happen either. Just because if the future is any indication or the past is any indication to how people want their games, console gamers want to play on consoles.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to go the PC route. Period.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting the next few years seeing how Microsoft pulls himself out of this and tries to. I mean, I've seen lots of changes as I play the Xbox literally every day. Stop listening. As the Kinect pisses me off. Stop listening. Stop listening. There we go. Jesus. That's the worst part about this thing. And that's the other thing, dude. Like, I wouldn't have this thing connected had it not been that I use it for this, like I'm doing right now, and for streaming.
Yeah.
If I had a PC that could stream and I just had it like, oh my god, I'd fuck the Kinect. It's a terrible device. It doesn't function like it should, and the games that come out for it are just garbage. And like, sure, there's the simple functionality of telling people or telling it what to do occasionally, but they've put functionality into it now to where I can still record clips or take screenshots without having to tell it what to do. And it's all very simple and intuitive. And from what I understand, what they have planned with the new OS that's supposed to be releasing for everybody, it works even better. So.
Yeah, definitely. Also, speaking of, sorry, I just got a tweet from our fan here. She's watching us on the PS4 Twitch app, so that's pretty cool. So we're pretty much.
Oh
ESPN.
yeah, I forgot PS4 got a brand new Twitch app.
Yeah, I didn't include it in the notes, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because like the Xbox One didn't have Twitch for a while after it came out. I remember when I got my Xbox, it still wasn't out. And then the second that it was like a week after some shit, that's when it came out. And it didn't work very well. Like, it still had a lot of bugs and issues and problems, but you had to go through the Twitch app itself. And then I'd go over to my brother-in-law's house who had a PS4, and I'd stream on his system. And his was really fucking complicated because they didn't have a Twitch app. You had to go through this whole route of like logging into your Twitch account through a sub menu that attached to the share device through the system itself, and then you could stream. I was just like, Jesus Christ, that is so complicated for something so simple. And then and I remember I was over there one day and somebody was streaming something cool and I wanted my nephews to watch, and I was like, let's just watch it on the PS4. And I started looking through all the apps and I was like, well, this thing does not have a Twitch app. Holy shit, I did not know that. And I was amazed by that. I was like, okay. What? Alright.
So going from Halo and Microsoft and PC, I bring you something interesting, including PC. So that was kind of a bad segue. So remember that story we talked about a bit ago about how I wanted to have paid mods with Skyrim, and how the whole community was pretty pissed?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
So recently they have said that Valve is still interested in having paid mods. Maybe not specifically Skyrim, but maybe some other mods of other games as well. And let me actually bring up the article real quick. This is done by Kotaku, and I'll read a quote or a little brief thing here. So, during a recent trip to Valve's offices in Seattle, I asked Valve business authority Eric Johnson and man of many hats, including TF2's Robin Walker, about what they've learned while staring into the deep, dark mirror that is hindsight. We're willing to take risks, said Johnson, but sometimes we're just wrong. We definitely screwed up things in the details. I asked if it felt like perhaps they pulled a Valve and relied on numbers too much, rather than talking to human people with flesh and blood, or the ability to slaw out tiny genetic copies of themselves. Johnson and Walker fully agreed that Valve's communication idea was poor, but in that way, quote, we talked to that community a bunch ahead of time, said Walker. That was entirely from customers, from mod makers. What number could we have looked at there? And it goes on to explain more about how they are more interested, how they're still interested in having paid mods to be part of Valve. So here's my thing about that. I think it's not a bad idea. I think if anything, instead of having it a required thing, like if modders choose so, have it kind of like a tip jar, so people can donate money to said modder for a mod, and that'd be great. You know, everybody wins. In terms of, because I just briefly saw they're talking about Dota 2, which is kind of like a paid mod in a way, but they're paying for hats and content that are being made by people, which is going towards Valve and, you know, whatever next tournament they're having, the next big Dota 2 tournament they're having. So I could see the world where we definitely have paid mods in the future, and it'd be a choice. But if Valve decides to have paid mods for specific games where you're required to pay mods for it, then that's where I say, like, I'm not quite sure that's the route you want to take in terms of your future games.
So, as of recent, I have been kind of shown something that's very fascinating about video games and money. You know, we were talking about microtransactions, I think, last week with Bungie, because they did the skins and emotes and whatnot for Destiny, and people were getting pissed off because they had found the back catalog of potential consumables that would have given some people a slightly like quicker rate of leveling up or whatever.
Right.
And then we were discussing like because my argument is always that, you know, this shit's expensive. It's always going to be expensive to make. And that gamers themselves generally feel entitled to get free stuff because, well, I'm a gamer and I bought your game already, so I shouldn't have to pay for stuff that I should feel like I get for free. Right. Which is a concept that only exists in this particular place. You wouldn't see a guy go to the car dealership and be like, well, I already bought your car, so give me that thing over there for free. You know, give me a tire for free. Like, you wouldn't see that. That doesn't exist. You know, you don't need mods. You don't need them. And 9 times out of 10, a mod has the potential of crashing your computer. Well, what if I told you that if you paid a little bit of money, not a lot, just a little bit of money, you could get that mod without it crashing your computer because we've refined it to the point that it won't crash your PC.
Right. And I agree. Putting it in a mod does not guarantee your PC will be fine. Putting it in a mod could potentially destroy your PC, or, you know, if done correctly, you know, add to the game.
Right. So my thing is that for gamers themselves to say, I don't think I should pay for something that I could have gotten for free in the past, could still get for free, but this one really cool mod that I want, I have to pay for instead. Well, I'm not fucking paying for it. Then don't fucking pay for it. I don't understand the mentality of why you, not you, royal you, need to get fucking mad because there's something that you want for free that you have to pay for. Do you have to be a fucking giant grown child and go, well, I want, like, a goddamn Veruca Salt is what you are if you're sitting there whining because this particular mod that you want, you now have to pay for.
To play devil's advocate to that point is that
by all means,
mods have always been free since since early 1990s, since like Doom came out. They've always been free. They've always been something that people will do out of love and, you know, a fan of the game. So
why can't it be that and something that you kind of help pay for? See, that's my point, though, Anthony, is that artists now, people who draw or paint or whatever, they've gotten to a point now where, you know, they're telling people, instead of taking a phone picture of my art and sharing it around the internet, or trying to crop it so that way my signature's out of it, like, pay for it. A few artists that I know through Twitch and other friends, like, why go to an artist and be like, oh, you can draw? Why don't you draw me? That's not how this fucking works. You know, people have to eat. People have to pay bills.
True. Yeah.
And for you to sit there and say, I don't want to pay you for something that I could have gotten for free, is again like going to an artist and saying, well, I'll just find someone else to draw it for me for free.
Mm-hmm.
You're just being a piece of shit at that point. And I mean, you can say that I'm offensive, you can say that I'm an asshole, I don't care. It comes down to the fact that you live in a capitalist society. And you cannot sit there and say, well, I deserve this. Because you aren't that special.
Mm-hmm. And to add to that point, times have changed. Like, the kind of mentality of what video games used to be is now totally different what it is now. People who work in the game industry are, I mean, it's still kind of a crapshoot, but things are better now than they were back then. The work that goes into a game is much bigger. Artists are being needed more. So having a way where you can pay for a mod in a way that benefits the user, the modder, and Valve for holding it's great. I'm in favor of having it just have it as a tip jar.
Yeah, I'm in favor of like, because that's the other thing that you have to put in perspective. Mods are still going to be free. There's still going to be free mods that people do out of the straight love of the game.
Right.
And if you truly feel like you don't want, like, you're like, oh, well, I'm not going to pay for that because I deserve it. Or like I'm not going to pay for that because I don't want to give this corporation my money, or whatever fucking fallacy reason you want to point out there. The point of the matter of fact is that shit still costs money.
Yeah.
Shit still costs time. And if you aren't, as a person, as a consumer, willing to understand that for every dollar that you spend, you know, goes to somebody not being homeless, then I have no help for you.
What I will throw in the monkey wrench that is in this discussion real quick is that while they can implement some sort of payment for mods, what type of mods are going to be accepted? Because there's some mods out there that infringe on copyright stuff. For example, the most famous one out of Skyrim was Macho Man Randy Savage as the big dragon that comes down at the beginning of the game that you fight against, and like he screams out Macho Man Randy Savage quotes.
Yeah, and I think in that regard, I think that Valve is going to be very safe about what mods they allow, and it'll be more in tune of like changing the game slightly, but not adding any kind of copyright material. And that's the point I like to make, is that stuff will still exist regardless. I don't think for a second that Valve's gonna fucking put the kibosh on other people modding a game, outside of being in their program or what the fuck ever.
Right.
I just think that, you know, they're like, you can download this one, and it's fun, and it has copyright material, and that's totally free. You take the risk of it breaking your system. You take the risk of it having a virus. But you could download this cool one that makes your character goofy, or, you know, you can add like a drunk mod or some shit like that, and you know, it's fun. It's just as fun. But you know, we've narrowed it down to make it safe, so it won't crash your system.
Right. Definitely.
And then there's the other factor I like to put in. This has something to do with it, but not a ton. You pointed out that Dota came from modding a different game.
Correct.
I don't remember which game.
It was Defense of the Ancients. I mean, well,
Right.
No, it was Warcraft 3, and the mod was called Dota: Defense of the Ancients, which then became its own game.
Right. Okay. So, imagine, if you will, a world in which games are modded through Studio, and the studio goes, "This is really cool. Let's make this into a full-fledged game."
Okay.
But they don't have to. They don't have to outsource it. They don't have to sit there and go to the external source and try to talk to them and make a deal. They've already made the deal.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, then would that be cheaper for them? That'd be cheaper for you in the long run.
It would be. It would be.
So, I mean, I'm looking at all like the positives far outweigh the negatives for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We'll definitely see how it goes, but it's gonna be very interesting to see how Valve approaches it, because like people were pretty pissed last time. So,
well, let's be honest. A majority weren't pissed. A majority were fine with it. The thing here is that the minority that were pissed were louder than the people who weren't.
Yeah,
so,
that's true. I mean, that's kind of the way.
I mean, redundant to say on the internet that the louder majority is angrier, but that's the truth of the matter. Is 9 times out of 10, if people are mad, and this is something I learned with Mass Effect 3, if people are mad, they're going to be louder.
Yeah.
No matter how many there are. If they sold BioWare sold millions and millions and millions of copies of that game, and yet for some reason listened to the loud minority.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
So,
so going from the topic of paid mods to a topic where it's more or less like, where would you draw the line? And what I'm talking about is that recently, actually, let me put that in the. No, that's weird. Okay, so I didn't have that thing in here. So Rock Band for review controversy. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so recently, Rock Band 4 came out. People like it, but recently they had discovered that some of the Harmonix employees were putting up reviews on Amazon's website, proclaiming, it's a really good game, you guys should go buy it, even though they were employees of the game. And they came out actually recently to, I would say, this is Destructoid? Yes, Destructoid, with some response. So here's a quote. Quote, Harmonix has clarified its internal policy about posting reviews on their own products on retail sites, and were asked that existing reviews be edited to identify Harmonix employees or be removed entirely. While we believe the review posted by a few employees were sincere without ill intentions as a studio, we do believe that these are appropriate actions. We appreciate the feedback from the community and take our relationship with our fans seriously. And then some of the reviews listed below have been updated to include the fact they help make the game, such as addition from Matthew Norris on his review. And he said, I added this review half in jest, as you might be able to tell from the tone of the original. In hindsight, it's probably important that I note that I worked on the game and worked for Harmonix. That being said, I'm confident that if I didn't, I would still give this game 5 stars. It's beautiful, peaceful, and a cooperative game, rare enough and already in today's landscape, that I can play with my wife and kids. Music discovery, playing with your family and friends, and cooperation make Rock Band my favorite. End quote. So, I'm all for employees, former employees, liking the game, telling people to go buy it, and promoting it. And in a sense, where do you draw the line, like, in terms of if you're promoting a game but then you go on Amazon and you start writing reviews for the game?
This was a poor attempt at guerrilla marketing. That's all this was. this was their attempt to, because this is not the first time that anyone's ever fucking done this. They just got caught. That was it. And I think that Harmonix, first off, like, Rock Band 4 may be a great game, but it has lots of problems right now. Not until December are you going to be able to download the entire Rock Band 3 discography. Remember how they said that every single Rock Band game would be available with the game itself?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's not. There's still a lot of songs that are not available. The head guy at Half Empty, he was talking about it on a Facebook thing, and I was reading all the comments and stuff from people who were playing it. And Rock Band fans are disappointed because there's a lot of songs that they wanted to play right off the bat, and they can't because it's just not available yet. Now I say yet in the regards of it'll be there eventually. It's just to compete with Guitar Hero, they put it out early. As I pointed out, that I personally feel that if Guitar Hero had come out first and that they had originally had their release date, because their original release date was like mid-December, they would have had a better product and been able to compete properly with them instead of releasing a half-finished product and then was like, I hope you guys have internet because that's how this is going to come out. Like, it just kind of sucks in that regard. So this was a poor attempt at guerrilla marketing. That's all this was. This was them trying to go, like, if we give it 5 stars on Amazon, I am so sorry.
No, that's all right.
If we give it 5 stars on Amazon, we can, people will just see it and try to go there and what they should have done, what they just simply should have done was say that they're a Harmonix employee right off the bat.
Agreed.
It is still given the product 5 stars on the ad or whatever on Amazon, and it would have worked just fine. But somebody was like, "Oh, don't put your name in there. See what happens," and it backfired. Now, did it backfire enough for people to be like, "Well, fuck Harmonix"? No, I hope not.
No,
I really hope not. I mean, that would be really dumb of a consumer to do that.
Right.
Because you have to understand how. I mean, I guess you kind of have to understand how marketing works or advertising works when it comes to anything in the media. So I don't know. I ain't mad at them. I'm more upset that they released a half-done product than I am mad that they try to use some guerrilla marketing tactics on Amazon.
Yeah. I think that also to note, now correct me if I'm wrong, like, this is Harmonix is like, they kind of went indie. Like, they aren't backed by a huge publisher or company this time around. This is them in a way trying to promote their brand without the money to market it as much. Right. So for them, this is new water for them, new territory. And at the same time, to kind of speak on if you've been half done, like, it's very much in the same vein as how Skullgirls were. And I play a lot of Skullgirls, and pretty much when that game was in development for the longest time, the game came out on Xbox 360 and PS3 long ago. They since then updated the game more as they went on, and they would have like these initial small releases of like a new version of the game. Here's a new character. Here's some new fixes and updates, and to the point where eventually they actually finished the entire game this past year on the PS4. They're still working on other versions of it as well, but the final version is done in the summer of this past year. So for Harmonix to kind of go through this process of saying, or kind of showing off half of it's done, it's them experiencing what an indie feels and the development of that, how it feels, especially with marketing as well, because like now that they're on their own, now they are experimenting, figuring things out themselves in terms of like what should you do to promote your brand. So
right,
it's I'm not mad at them. I'm slightly disappointed that they did that. I would have been more fine if they came out and say, I'm a Harmonix Home employee, so take it for a grain of salt. You know, I like this game.
Yeah, it's kind of like looking at a kid who, you know, he's in 5th grade and he smacks a girl, and you're just like, really, dude, really? I ain't mad at you, but come on, man, like that's fucked up.
Yeah, definitely.
It's more so how I am. Like, I don't hate you, I still love you, but you disappointed me. It's like I'm Robert De Niroing them. Disappointed me. I'm mad. So yeah, I don't know. I think that, you know, if you're a consumer and you want to buy, and you're looking for the next music game to buy, you have to put two things in perspective. I mean, as I've talked again, Brian is a huge fan of musical games, and I really do. Like, as I was against Guitar Hero right off the bat, I've been against Guitar Hero for a long time. But there's two things you have to put into play here. Guitar Hero is not being made by Neversoft. Guitar Hero Live, I should say, is not being made by Neversoft, as Neversoft is a defunct company now. So, is it a good game? People say it is. So I'd like to play it. I'd like a chance to play it. Plus, they have a different system now with the guitar, and it's only guitar. Rock Band, on the other hand, is the same old Rock Band that you know and love. I've heard that the biggest issue with Rock Band right now, other than the music or the soundtrack not downloading, is the controllers suck.
Yeah,
which is really, really, really disappointing to hear. So I don't know. If you're looking for the next musical game and you want, like, it's all going to come down to preference at this point. Are you a Guitar Hero fan? Then you're probably going to get Guitar Hero. If you're a Rock Band fan, you're probably going to get Rock Band. That's as simple as it gets. And you know, if you plan on getting Rock Band, you don't have to wait because they're going to come up with patches. If that doesn't bother you, then go ahead and get Rock Band. Go ahead and get Rock Band early. But if it pisses you off to the point that you don't feel it's worth it, then wait.
Yep.
But don't make your judgment on some stupid shit like this. Like, it's not their entire company, their entire plan for the game should not weigh on the fact that this particular guerrilla tactic failed and blew up in their face.
Agreed. Let's see. From here, let's actually open up my thing, actually. So I had to take I cannot talk. We had to talk about this topic because it is the title of our show. But so that didn't fit all the way through. Hang on a minute.
You right there?
Yeah, I got it. I just gotta. Okay, well, whatever.
Guys, this is professional podcasting right
here. Anyway, so, all right. So, Konami has came out because recently it has been indicated that Hideo Kojima has left the company and is no longer working for them. But actually, Konami came out and said, like, no, he's still working for us. He's just on vacation, as they said.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah. So here's and I can actually believe both sides, because what I can say is that so he's on contract with them up until December, and the game is done. He's no longer working on it. All the employees that were working on the game have left or are also on vacation as well, and basically he has nothing to work on or nothing left to do. And there have been some rumors that Konami would put some of their employees, their high-profile employees, to do like minuscule work, like being a janitor. But Hideo Kojima is such a high-profile person in the world of the game industry that they're just gonna have him just, you know, be off and do his own thing until his contract is up in December. That's why he's on vacation. But in reality, we all know that the real truth is that, you know, he's done with the company. When his contract is up, he's going to be going up and leave and do whatever he wants to do.
Well, you know why Konami came out was like, well, he's not on vacation. He's still working for us. He's just on vacation. You know why they did that, right?
Well, yeah, because they don't. Well, actually, I want you to tell me first.
It's the save face. That's all. I mean, realistically, that's all it comes down to. The Konami knows that they don't look good in the gaming community right now. That sure, they're making a fuck ton of money off of Metal Gear Solid 5, and that's great and all, but they have to know. They have to know they don't look good in the gaming community. So
absolutely.
Like, what do you do in that regard? You have your golden goose, and suddenly your golden goose is, the golden goose's fans, I should say, don't like you for the way that you're treating said golden goose. How do you fix this problem? You do what every other company in the history of mankind has ever done, and that's make it out like, no, nothing's wrong, nothing's wrong. You hear your parents arguing in their bedroom, and you come out and you're like, Mom, what's the matter? Nothing's wrong, nothing's wrong. Yeah, she's sitting there with a black eye, and you're like, I don't know what to do. That's what this is. It's trying to save face.
Yeah.
But that was a really dark analogy I just came up with. I don't know where that came from. I legitimate, because I've never had that experience with my parents. So, what happened? Where did my mind just go? And I can't necessarily fault Konami for this, because I mean, what are you gonna do? Like, you gotta try to make the fucking fans happy, and the only way that you know how is by lying to them. So, you just go that route, and then people go, I'm calling your bullshit, and you just kind of go, all right, I don't care. Go buy our game. Okay, I guess I will.
Yeah, I mean, for Konami, get what the good is good in terms of this game, like, because after this,
you better hope your pachinko machines make you enough money to stay above water.
Yeah, the pachinko machines, health clubs, and everything else. So yeah, pretty much. You know what? At this point, I'm not sure if you're Konami, if really is anything you really want to save face, really, at this point. Like, everything is out there. Like, all the information that was leaked, we all know that Kojima is going to be leaving pretty soon. Like, at some point, Konami has to start from the ground up in terms of what they want to do. I mean, they're obviously going out the window when it comes to the game industry and focusing on pachinko machines. But, I am just personally cannot wait for the be-all, tell-all book, audio tape, whatever, of what Kojima wants to say, and inform our employees too about what happened. That's going to be the biggest, like, I won't say story, but like the biggest thing to come out of that situation.
Yeah, I think June, if we're still doing this podcast, we'll be talking about that.
Oh my God, I'm gonna love that. Also, speaking of which, a little side note, there's an article, might be from Kotaku or some other website, that kind of describe how Destiny was to where it is now, and all the mishaps that happened in between. I suggest you guys go check it out. I don't remember the title of the article, but it's very good.
Yeah, I still need to read it. I actually haven't yet, but apparently the whole article, my buddy was telling me about this, is basically like somebody who worked at Destiny, who doesn't work there anymore, worked at Bungie. They even say their name, they say their position, all sorts of shit, and they're just like, the story was drastically different and completely, like, it was really, really cool with this whole, like, intertwining thing where, because you can still see remnants throughout the game that you get, or through the story that you get with the Grimoire cards and other things like that, that the Traveler, the giant thing that, protected humanity for the most part, is actually the bad guy. And that the Traveler, Matt Pat actually had an episode on this because he kind of talked about it, but not, like, that he made the episode and edited it before this article came out. But it's this whole rad fucking thing, about how the Traveler, it's constantly running from the darkness, and it decided to make its last stand in our solar system. And when it found the human race, he was basically, or it was basically like, I can just use these beings as tools. And so that was the whole thing, and that the Fallen, which is like a primary, like one of the first enemies that you come in contact with, were actually part of, it's like one of its stop and go locations.
Yeah.
And now the Fallen are trying to seek revenge on the Traveler, and that the reason the Vex are trying, which are like a time-traveling robot group, the reason that they're constantly trying to fight and kill the Traveler is because the Traveler is just a fucking destroyer.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's not the bringer of life, it's an absolute destroyer. One of the things is there's a Grimoire card that talks about the Black Garden, and one of the guys one of the original Guardians that found the Black Garden makes this thing about how, like, he pricked his finger and then, like, the light was coming out, and he heard a voice, like the flower talking back to him in the shape of a ghost, saying that you're not supposed to be here because you're a dead thing that was resurrected by a dead thing. So, like, there's this whole really fucking cool lore behind it, and apparently that was in the original fucking content.
Yep. Yeah.
That is rad as fuck. I want to play that.
Yeah. So definitely check out the article if you guys haven't. It's really good. Definitely. All right. So on to the show, or back to the show, I should say. Let's see. I'm gonna go with. Yeah. Okay. Let's do that. So all right. So, recently, I'm not sure it was announced, but hang on. Let me see if I can. Okay. So, Sony has officially stopped making development for the Vita in terms of just like hardware and games altogether.
About goddamn time.
Yeah, I mean, there's been people who were really hanging on to that handheld. There are people really believing that the handheld is great.
Sure, I mean, by process of probability, I don't doubt it for a second.
Yep. So here's a little quick blurb. This is from BG.24-7. So in an interview, speaking in a 4Games interview, Sony Computer Entertainment SVP Masayu Ito has confirmed that Sony has dropped all first-party development for its Vita handheld. As translated by DualShock, it said, currently first-party studios have no titles in development for PS Vita since third parties are working very hard on PS Vita. SEE's own strategy is to focus on PS4, which is the new platform. You added to the demographic using Vita has becoming younger, citing the success of Minecraft PS Vita Edition. He said that the third-party releases will continue, that new colors of the hardware will accelerate the trend, appealing to younger gamers. Sony had previously said that the big-budget Vita development had been iced in June. Sony Robot Studio boss Shigeru Yoshida admitted that the days of large-scale Sony games for the handheld were over. Part of that I disagree, actually.
Well, yeah. There's a huge part that's incorrect.
Yeah, because it's like, you know, you say that, or he says that, and it's like, well, look at the DS and look at the games.
Yeah. That thing's keeping Nintendo above. Like, that's helping Nintendo survive. So
yeah, I think the interesting thing about this, and it kind of dates back to the PSP in a way, because like for the longest time, the gamers wanted to have a portable gaming console in their hands. They can play their console game graphics in their hands, and that was kind of a dream for many gamers for the longest time. And we got that with the PSP, we got that with the Vita, but they didn't.
You know why? You know why?
Why?
So there's this article that I was reading not too long ago as to why handheld, what do I call that? Adult games don't do so well.
Mm-hmm.
There's two factors into it. The majority of people who are buying and playing games nowadays, the games that sell a ton, are adults, 18 to 36 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The reason this is because those are the people that grew up playing the younger games. What happened when the PlayStation first came out? Why was it such a good competitor against the N64?
Right.
People were going, this is the adult console. This is the grown-up console. So Sony thought they could do that with the PlayStation Portable. They really did. And it did okay. The PSP did actually really well.
Well, for different reasons.
For different reasons. But as those people who were so fundamentally for it finally stopped purchasing things, especially the next, PlayStation handheld, is because, and something that I experience now as a 32-year-old man, who's most of my friends, almost all of my friends are married and have kids, where I'm not, they don't have the time to play games anymore. They just don't. They get home and they have about an hour to 2 hours to play some games, and then they have to go to bed because they have to get up for work the next day. They want to spend time with their family, and sometimes spending time with their family means watching shows or playing specific video games with them. To set aside time to play something like on the Vita would take away from the centerpiece of their entertainment system.
Yeah.
So why would you want to do that? Sure, you could argue, well, they could take the PSP on the road and play it at work or what the fuck ever, and it's like there's no desire to really do that because you still don't have a whole lot of time to devote to playing something. So the younger generation, or the people who are young adults or certain age groups, the reason that they choose the 3DS over the Vita is because of Nintendo content.
Yeah,
that's all that comes down to.
Pretty much.
It has nothing to do with being an adult at that point. I would much rather spend my time playing this game than something that Sony is trying to push on me.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a huge factor into why the Vita has failed so hard, and why so many reviewers and reporters and stuff like that, even us, were kind of making fun of it because it seemed like it'd be an unnecessary thing. And then you also have to put it in perspective for Sony. Their PS4 is selling like fucking hotcakes, and their Vita is collecting dust on the shelf.
Yeah. Agreed.
You got to cut the fat.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And to add to that point, like the other thing also, reason why the Vita may not be doing as well is because of the evolution of smartphones and how people can now use their smartphones to play games as well. I
didn't even think about that, but you are absolutely correct.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's why the DS does better than the Vita itself in that regard, is because it's dual screen. It's a different experience entirely than you can get on either your phone or the Vita.
Agreed. Yes. So yeah. I
totally forgot about that part.
R.I.P. Vita. All right. So let's see. So I'm gonna do probably these two quickies and probably end the show. So I want to talk about a fundraiser that recently was ended. Or not fundraiser, but Indiegogo. Let me bring this up real quick. So, as you might notice recently on the site, I did a quick impression of the first trailer of the game called Them's Fighting Herds. And it was a game that was in development by these guys who was working a My Little Pony fighting game, but was C&D by Hasbro. Went on to make this game, and has recently been successful at having their game funded to all goals, for that matter. Full disclosure, I did donate money for this campaign, but no, it's really cool. I want to give you guys a quick shout out, and definitely looks good. Now that it's funded, we'll definitely see more of this in the future. If anything, you'll probably see me playing this and previewing this when it comes out. But like these are the things I really like about Indiegogo or Kickstarters. That these games that you would not see a light of day that would be approved to be made. Finally be able to have the chance to do so. So really cool. And congrats to them.
Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm. And then the other quick bit I want to do. So what time is it? 58, 54. Okay. So here's. Okay, so we had in terms of like different Splatfest. Hang on, do I even have that on here actually? We had different Splatfest themes for Splatoon, and you know it's pretty cool. Last time it was art versus science, which is really cool. That was pretty fun. It always gets the discussion going. And now this next Splatfest for Splatoon is ninjas versus pirates. So Greg, I ask you,
God, come on.
would you be a ninja or a pirate?
I mean, in this regard, ninja. I like ninjas more than pirates, but why is this a long-standing debate? I don't get it.
Really bored people. I mean,
I used to like, it was funny when it started. Like back in the day, you're just kind of like, oh, yeah, it'd be fun to like, think about this, and then fucking, what's that show called? Deadliest Warrior did it. They were like ninjas would have easily.
Yeah.
Ninjas would have gone on the pirate ship as a stowaway or somebody that was unassuming to a pirate, and then the fucking ninja would just like kill like 3 of them before anyone fucking noticed.
Yeah. It's you know what's funny is like these Splatfests have been, I mean, there's been nothing new per se. Like they're basically, it's just the same game as it is right now, and it just has a different theme. You know, it has a different type of feel to it. But
I hate to say it, but fucking Splatoon is easily one of the best games that has come out this year.
It has been.
And I haven't even fucking played it. It's just like aesthetically, the fact that they've had little to no issues with connectivity.
Yeah.
They've had like the fact that it has no voice chat makes it just that much more desirable. The fact that it's a completely different type of game in terms of a shooter.
Yeah.
Aesthetically, it's very pleasing. Like I honestly have not heard a bad thing about the game.
Agreed. I think that
other than the weird like post-apocalyptic like theme. People are like, it's really dark when you get into it, but man, is it fun to shoot ink. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. I would, if anything, like it'd probably be up there game of the year for a lot of people. I cannot wait to hear what other gaming outlets think about Splatoon in terms of where they rank it.
I can't give my game of the year yet until I play Halo 5, Rise of the Tomb Raider, and Battlefront. Because I had a lot of fun. Like, here's the thing. Big Halo fan. Of course, I'm going to look at it from a objectivist point of view and try to give a correct, proper review to it. And then there's, sorry. God damn. Then there's, Battlefront, which I fucking loved that played that beta so much. I loved it. I'm missing it so much right now.
Oh, yeah.
And then, Rise of the Tomb Raider, like, the remake was so good that, and this one is just basically an extension of that. Like, I'm super excited for it. So, I'll give my opinion on it as things come out, but I'm not gonna sit there and say like, this game was better than that one already. I mean, right now, if I had to sit there and say what game was the best to me out of this year so far, Tales from the Borderlands.
Okay.
Granted, it took a while for the whole thing to come out, and I think it began last year. I was gonna look that up.
Right. For me, I mean, I'm more interested to see what like Giant Bomb's gonna say in terms, because I love their like breaking down of like what their top game of the year is, and from the outside looking in with the game releases this past year, I have my gut is telling me that Metal Gear Solid 5 is gonna rank very, very high, or possibly the best.
For sure.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, like that's another game like that I've heard very little complaints about.
Yes.
Like, it's just getting high scores across the board.
The things you can do in that game are ridiculous. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's we discussed this about Metal Gear Solid, that there's two camps of people. There's the camp people that take it way the fuck too seriously, know all the lore and everything, and then there's the camp that it's like, it's fucking Metal Gear Solid. It's the most obscene, ridiculous fucking game you could possibly play.
Yes, that is the most Metal Gear ass game Metal Gear has ever been in every aspect.
Literally, you recruit people by using a giant balloon. Like, give me a break here. It's not meant to be taken seriously.
You can force. Oh, that's weird. You can force your horse to shit if you wanted to. It's actual command. Yeah. So that's gonna do it for our show for today. So before we go, Greg, where can I find you on the internet?
So the first episode of Tales from the Borderlands came out in 2014. So I don't know if it counts as a game of the year, but the 2 through 5 came out this year, so I don't know. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook under Chubba Geek. Search for those 3 words together as one. You can follow me on, or you can find me on the YouTube page for Mission Start on the website itself. I haven't written anything in a while just because I've a lot going on in my life. I might write something soon. I'm still debating on it. You can follow me on you can follow me on Xbox under ChubRock360, which I want to change my gamer tag really bad. And then something like, I don't know, tonight, if you're watching this live, tonight from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. I will be streaming on Half Empty Energy Tank. Go to twitch.tv/Half Empty Energy Tank as one word, and I will be streaming from 5 to 9 Pacific Standard Time.
Ooh, and what game are you streaming tonight?
The Tomb Raider Definitive Edition.
Oh, okay.
I played it when it first came out, the remake, and I loved it. I have not had a chance to play it since it's been on the Xbox One, and since the new one's coming out around the corner, figure I'll revisit it tonight.
Awesome. You can follow me on Twitter at DefectiveNaruto, and you can follow the work that me and Greg do, as he said, on our site, missionstartpodcast.com. So, with that, if you enjoyed this podcast, if you enjoy listening to this, either right now or in the future, definitely subscribe to us on iTunes and Stitcher. Look up Mission Start Podcast. It's also on our website at missionstartpodcast.com. If you enjoy convention talk, if you enjoy us talking about our previous experiences going to said convention and what we think about the convention, check out the Conover. The podcast is up on iTunes and Stitcher as an audio, and it is also on our website at missionstartpodcast.com. And if you enjoy comic books, entertainment, movies, all that jazz, video games, anime, check out the Rolling 20s, where it's been hosted by Jeremy Wilson, I should say, on our website at missionstartpodcast.com, as well as iTunes and Stitcher. Also, for you guys at home looking and wondering what the schedule is, so as of right now, the official schedule for Mission Start Podcast Twitch channel is Mondays at 7:30 p.m. We have Monday Night Blockbuster, our Skullgirls weekly tournament. We have a new show actually in the works. I'm actually working on it. It'll be on the Twitch channel as well soon. And then this show, if you're watching right now, Mission Start Podcast. It's on Saturdays at 11 a.m. on this channel. Be sure to hit that follow button, and you'll be notified when the show is on. So, with that, I think we should end the show, and we'll see you.